Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at Luke Skywalker in his Jedi Knight outfit from the Return of the Jedi wave, the Star Wars Vintage collection. Was not going to originally pick this up, although I still needed a Luke Skywalker just because, I don't know, it looked a lot like the version that came in the Build-A-Droid series, except for with fewer accessories, because that one also had this one vest piece that you popped on, but that was basically just looking at the figure, the costume, and then the accessories it came with, which were the same, but on closer inspection it does look like he has more articulation, including ball-jointed legs, which are something seldom seen in the Star Wars normal lines, like the Vintage, but you will find in the Clone Wars line. And that's also been one of my biggest gripes about the Star Wars series, why I haven't picked up a lot of it, just because I feel that hinged hips are a thing of the past. But speaking of things of the past, here's the original packaging with the first Luke. Now, one thing you'll notice is missing is a cloak. Honestly, I want my cloak, but, I guess it's not a huge deal. I could probably just pull another accessory out from it, and half the time when I have stuff like that, I end up taking them off the figure anyway. But let me get this open. On camera, of course, because I don't have editing right now. Now, as a kid, Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie, because it had, like, a lot of action and stuff, but then, and ironically, the one I liked the least was Empire Strikes Back, because I thought it was boring, the villains won and stuff like that, but as an adult, it kind of reversed, where I think that Return of the Jedi was just crap, except for the opening scene and a lot of the cool interplay between Luke and Vader. Whereas Empire Strikes Back was just the better one all around. One of the nicer things about this is the fact it's just easy to take this out of its packaging. Nowadays you have all those stupid little plastic rubber bands and stuff, and that's just really a pain in the ass. But yeah, starting off, these are some ugly wrists, but for good reason. They do have the ability to move around. They're actually like kind of a ball joint or a ball and socket here, as opposed to the standard wrists, which don't really do anything. Of course, they don't go out to the back to the side, which is kind of a downer, so I mean, it's not that huge of a thing, but I guess if you're trying to go for like a kind of forced lightning pose, no, you still kind of need the back, and Luke would never be using force lightning, so it's kind of academic. He would be using that sort of counter thing which catches force lightning, but never actually seen him use it. But first off, let's just confirm the fact that, oh yeah, it's a great thing. It's beautiful. He can kick out, which means you can do a lot more really cool poses and stuff, and again, it's just something that I felt has been seriously lacking and missing with the Star Wars lines. So I can imagine I will probably toss him into some pretty cool poses and stuff. Now, I guess the wrist is mostly just for some additional lightsaber poses. Like, you can get him to go like this and stuff. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but it's a nice extra little touch. Of course, I probably would prefer if they did more of like a proper ball joint, so it could also go forward a bit, because you can't get his two hands to really meet, it looks like. Yeah, so he can't do like double-handed lightsaber stuff all that easily. I mean, imagine if I play around with it a bit, I can probably get a few poses where you can kind of get a double-handed strike. Now, as for the character likeness, this head sculpt is pretty decent. I don't remember the previous sculpt that, used like the same costume as having a particularly nice head sculpt. I think the hair is also a bit more sculpted on this one. You'll notice that there's a considerable amount of more detail here. In general, the costume seems to have, or the clothing, has more texturing and stuff, although I don't like the fact that it's really glossy, although I think it was a kind of leather. I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. The other accessories he comes with are the lightsaber in the off position, you know, which is good. I mean, so many times you'll always have the lightsaber on, but you have to remember that they do have off positions as well as the manacles, as seen with, I think it was from when he showed up at Jabba's palace and stuff, and Jabba cuffed him and he was going to toss him into the Sarlacc pit, but you know, the whole thing was a ruse, and he had set up with, oh, sorry for major spoilers here, but he'd set up with C-3PO and R2-D2 beforehand to go in to get onto the cruise ships, and R2 had his lightsaber, so he kicked major ass. But yeah, as in terms of Luke, I mean, there's so many different versions of this character available in so many different costumes, but I mean, I think the 3 or 4 biggest ones are the pilot outfit, which is just orange, but you don't really see him in that much. The Bespin outfit, which I think was in the last Vintage wave, and this version. Now, the big difference, of course, is the fact that he has his mechanical hand in Return of the Jedi, because, well, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Vader cuts it off at the end of Empire Strikes Back, showing that he's probably one of the worst fathers of all time. Between, I guess, being an absentee dad, cutting off his son's hand, and, you know, just generally traumatizing the daughter with a torture device. Fun stuff, but he didn't really know that it was the daughter at that point, so. Yeah, this is definitely a pretty cool figure. Just quick run through of articulation. I mean, it's a lot of ball and sockets, but you only have the up-down motion, and then the, you know, movement side to side. It can't go forward and back, as mentioned with the wrist here. Ball and socket here at the elbow. Good range of motion. Ball joint here at the shoulder. Head is on, no, it's only swivels. It's probably on a physical ball, but just due to the hair back here, it's not going to go far back, and I don't really feel a lot of motion. Waist only rotates. I mean, it'd be nice if they had more of a, like, ball joint or something there, so it could kind of slide forward for a torso joint, but no such luck. I mean, it does look nicer as a result of this, because, I mean, the extra jointiness would be an issue, but, you know, kind of a ball joint here at the hip. It only kicks out. It doesn't really kick forward, but it's just due to the sculpting. But it just shows that they can include ball joints at the legs, and it can still look pretty decent as opposed to the crap that they currently give us. It doesn't look as bad on Fett here, but on some of them it looks pretty horrendous, especially because they have them kind of spread eagle too, so it's crap, and you can see the line of the joint, whereas this you can't necessarily see it. Ball and socket here at the knee. Kind of an ugly joint, but does allow for all sorts of additional movement. Assume I can actually get it to. The other problem is, like, where it kind of blends in, it's hard to tell where the joints are sometimes, but, And then another ball and socket here at the ankle. So yeah, actually at some point I could probably just do a whole video on my opinions on these Star Wars movies, and I probably will, but, and the characters as well, but I seriously like this figure. It's kind of surprising that, you do get a pretty cool range of articulation for this line. Now, I think the Vintage line might be new sculpts, and the other stuff is just reissues. And that's why these figures are a bit more than the others. I'm not sure how long these have been out. I think I might have seen these a few times recently, but it's kind of bogus because you have a single card of the Ewok, and, those are kind of small. I mean, at least with, like, the Jawas for the Clone Wars, they included a 2-pack of them. Then Yoda, whenever you see Yoda release, typically you get, some sort of a big accessory, but this one's just Yoda by himself. Although he's got his reversed Force Lightning there. But you'll notice that he seems to still have hinged joints, and some of the other ones have hinged, so I'm not sure if this could be a trend going forward. Some of these will have balls, some of these won't. But yeah, this figure I definitely think a lot of. Probably would recommend. Until next time, folks.